Be recorded.
Hey everybody, Brett Fogle here with your Friday recap, and hope you're enjoying your week. The big news this week, of course, was the Ethereum Merge. So with that, let's dive into it. Just go ahead and share my screen, and we'll pull up a little bit of news and then dive into the charts. So with that, I'll turn off my camera so you can see that a little better. Just want to give you guys a little wave like we do every week. And so as I said, the Ethereum news was the big news of the week. And as I've been saying, it was a sell the news type of event here, which of course the news media is now picking up. They're reporting on what's already happened. We've been saying this for weeks, and so that's exactly what happened. It was a successful merge, but in the end, so what? We'll get to the charts in a minute here, and here's some of the reasons that it doesn't bode well necessarily for the miners. Obviously, it's no longer profitable for the miners because it's no longer proof of work. The big move and upgrade was now proof of stake, so that essentially if you're holding ETH, that's all that you need to know in terms of do you own it or not. So it's going to make it deflationary in the long run, but let's take a look. So on the daily basis here, we are going to start with Ethereum this week. Usually you start with Bitcoin, but Ethereum's the big news, of course. And look, I drew this line here last week for us and moved it around a little bit, but here's exactly what happened. Pushed up here to this descending trend resistance here. We're sort of forming and kind of still are forming a descending triangle, but at any rate, you had predicted, forecasted to push up to this resistance level and come down. Big question is, do we break back above and hold above this line at the end of today? In which case, that's a nice little bullish tail candle and probably bounce up again and bounce around here before heading lower. I think we probably head lower. This is the daily chart, and I'll come back to that. Let's take a look at the weekly here. This is Bitcoin, which still is sort of market leader. We'll look at Ethereum too because they're similar, but big bearish engulfing candle on this weekly on Bitcoin. So I think Bitcoin is headed to that 17,500 level. Call it, 18,000, give or take a couple hundred. That's that 300-week moving average for Bitcoin. And of course, we scroll on down here to Ethereum. A big old ugly bearish engulfing candle again. So where could Ethereum go? I think we could go sub 1100, maybe down in this area here and retest these lows. But there are some arguments that we have bottomed. We're just going to bounce around a bit, and so we don't know. We really don't know. In terms of the monthly here, the three market cycles that we talk about every week, I won't. We've reviewed that a number of times, so won't do that again. But also on the monthly, really want to see what happens here because while we narrowly escaped a bearish engulfing candle on Bitcoin last month, currently this is not a bullish candle. It's decidedly bearish. Big topping tail here, but still holding that 20,000, call it 19,500 level. On the monthly basis, if we close here, let's say below 19,000, that's bad. And that, well, depending how you look at it, it's bad if you own Bitcoin. It's great if you'd like to buy more cheaper. So target on that around 16, we could go 16,500 here, the midpoint of this candle on the monthly basis. I don't know. Everyone's sort of expecting a big down bloody month in October, but there's some contrarians saying, no, the opposite's going to happen. We're going to push much higher. So this is sort of out in the wind here. We don't know, and remains to be seen. The monthly stochastics RSI is sort of trying to cross up above, but if we go back to the prior cycles, it was many months here, maybe so March 18, a full year down to these levels before it started to push higher, so that would sort of suggest that maybe we sort of trade down in the doldrums for till February 23, so I don't know. I don't think we're out of the woods here yet, although things are starting to kind of look like they're stabilizing. We don't have too much farther to go down. Probably, but we just don't know. The big wild card here is the recession and the everything bubble. Bitcoin's never been through one of those, and the tightening on the monetary supply certainly, that's not helping. The crypto rally here was largely fueled by the money printing by the Fed, trying to inflate the economy, and a lot of people were putting it in the stock market, putting it in crypto, and that is now getting pulled out of the markets and having to pull out trillions of dollars, 35 trillion globally, and that's going to take some time. So I do think we come back down and see these lower lows here and retest. Not much to see on the other indicator. Well, let's see. Let me see. I'll turn this on. My ERI on the weekly, which is my early indicator. Yeah, so these arrows here, we were talking about this back in April when it flagged, and then we had that big drop, had a little green arrow, a small one. So we had a little bounce, but now we have a full-blown bearish ERI from last month, from August, and it's still in a downtrend. I don't see any reason we would bounce. My green ERIs on the weekly are what I go by, and the daily. And again, this weekly bearish engulfing candle, if Sunday night at 8 p.m. we are, still below or at current levels, then I think we push down quite a bit lower, probably down to the 1200s and maybe lower. So we'll keep an eye on that and sort of, let's see, kind of confirming there with, well, the ERI is what I'm watching, at least on the weekly. Okay, so and then back to Ethereum here on the daily. Again, that's what I see there. My indicators, we have some more downside to go. In my TSI here, trend strength indicator, I'd be looking for a bounce if we were down on these lower levels already and trading sideways and then pushing higher to green. But since we're just coming down, even if we get a little bit of a bounce, I do think that we come down lower on Ethereum. So be ready to lighten or load up on Ethereum if you're looking to buy at cheaper prices and dollar cost average. And of course, my signal line going from green to red is also a confirming indicator that likely there's more downside. So that's what we're looking at here. So as far as Ethereum, I actually did a 2-hour watch party on Ethereum last night. And so if you'd like to see that, you can put a note in the chat here, and I'll clear that with Max. But, that would be a more in-depth analysis on all this. Just kind of keep it short this week, going into the weekend. But here's what I was also projecting last night. And so I said we sort of bounced here around 1400, 1430, sort of up in this range. And I said, this is going to come down to the 1430 level here, which we did, and this support level. So that's not rocket science. Question is, what do we do from here? Probably, may get a little bit of a short-term bounce on the 1 hour or the 4-hour chart here, and maybe come up to that 1500, some profit taking on the shorts, some short covering, etc., and then we push down lower, as I've suggested. So this video might not get out to you in time for this trade to play out. On the short-term bounce, I'd be looking for these indicators to kind of turn up, but this is not the kind of venue to talk about that. Here's 1 hour, 4 hour, nothing different. And then the short term on Ethereum, so it looks very bearish here. So let me open up the 3 minute. So this is really, for swing traders, day traders, this is a great short setup. Basically, the 21 period and 50 period, this is a 3 minute chart. And these are great for shorts because when it's above the 50, it's bullish. When it gets down below the 50 and the 21, these lines become resistance, especially the 21 period here. You see it coming up into there, and then boom. And then it comes sideways, and then boom, comes up, gets up, and finds the 50 period, more resistance, and drops. Again, resistance, resistance, resistance. And what you'd want to be watching here for you short-term traders, lower highs. Okay. Lower highs. This is a bearish wedge pattern, and after the third rejection, sure enough, boom, we had another drop here. So, and it's just, for shorting these markets, it's not something I'm recommending or giving financial advice, but this is an excellent way to do it. Just this 21 and 50 period moving average comes up, and you can go short, and then you sort of cover when it comes down with these long wicks. We see these long exhaustion wicks, and those are usually revert back to the mean. The 21 and 50 really act as magnets, so you can even do this kind of thing here. Let's see if I can spin it around, but this is a magnet. So there you go. That's a magnet graphic there. So the 21 and 50 become magnets. When they come all the way down, they get pulled back up to them. right? And so let's see, just for visual fun and just to reinforce that, these are more magnets there, but it may be that it's bottoming here. It's hard to say. I don't think so, because what do we have here? We have another sort of bearish wedge. It's trying to find support here, but it remains to be seen. So I think more downside on the Ethereum. If we want to jump back here to the daily and look at some other metrics here, we've got Bitcoin down another 263. So, that's still a question mark, but this is another bear flag kind of playing out here, guys. We have, it's a sloppy one. So flagpole flag, the breakdown was here, and then it rallied back up. This was a short squeeze, so it's now continuing this. And if we would, if we want to say that this is the new flagpole break, it coincides with my 12,500 to 12,800 level and target. So that's where I'd be looking to buy. I think a lot of people are saying, I tend to agree. A lot of people are saying that we'll never see 10,000 again. I think people would front run, the institutions will front run it. If you're waiting for $10,000 Bitcoin, maybe hold out a little bit to have some bragging rights. And we did talk about the CME gap that is still unfilled here. So as a wild card, and again, these CME gaps are magnets. They tend to fill. So we have this down at 97.50 to 97.80. So that would be kind of for bragging rights at the country club or wherever you hang out with your friends. You put a limit buy, you could consider putting a limit buy order here. Not financial advice, just educational, but this is how I would play it. And but on the bullish side here a little bit, we do have a CME gap. Let me get my marker back. Where is the brush here? So we have a big CME gap there. So that'll act as a magnet. This will act as a magnet. So on the upside, eventually we'll come up and fill these gaps. So, as far as get down as we go, then these holes will likely fill at some point. Okay, so take that off for now. Pardon me. And yeah, so let's keep going here. A quick look at Bitcoin dominance. So Bitcoin dominance bouncing out of this range here, which traditionally was the altcoin season, where altcoins would see money flowing into them. Bitcoin dominance, again, is the percentage of money that's flowing out of the overall crypto markets and into Bitcoin. So it's been bleeding all the way along. But also along that time, as we've seen Ethereum dominance going up. So money leaving Bitcoin and going into Ethereum, and as well as stable coins like USDT. So we've been watching this here and talking about this ETH dominance here, which was in a long-term downtrend since 2017, reversed around 2020, has been in an uptrend, kind of flatlined here with the markets heading down, but since the beginning of the year been going up, showing that money had been flowing out of Bitcoin into Ethereum ahead of this merge. But now that we're on a sell the news type of scenario, who knows? I think we still will kind of push higher up in these ranges, but reject up in this area, and then start a new leg down and downturn at some point as money starts flowing back into Bitcoin at some point. So here we've got, this is USDT, the largest stable coin, kind of bouncing around, but it's inverse relationship to Bitcoin and crypto. So as this pushes higher, which it looks like it will, then this means more money going out of the crypto markets and into the stable coins like USDT. So I would imagine this is further evidence that we head lower in crypto in the short term. And of course, the DXY is pushing higher still. And you might say, well, it's all right. It should stop here because it's now at these, kind of resistance levels here if we zoom out a bit. But in reality, if you zoom out, it's got some ways to go. And if you zoom out far enough on the DXY, it's got a long way to go. The higher this goes, lower crypto goes. And we do have a long-term cup and handle pattern here, which technically the handle is breaking up here. So, we could pull back here on the DXY as a breather, a test to retest that handle and then shoot up higher. So what would that mean? That would be a bear market rally. So a bull trap rally, essentially, as DXY comes down, money back into crypto. Everyone says, yay, good times are here again. They get margin long and then they get blown out. So this is how these markets work. So beware of that. In terms of total market cap, we are decidedly below that $1 trillion mark here, which we were hovering around trying to stay above. And my squiggly lines here have are strangely accurate, but had a little pump here, but I think we are headed lower. Total market cap, these are liquidity zones here, both in this range. So might be a good time to start dabbling in the lower end of this range. But I would say to keep some powder dry regardless, or hold out unless we get down into this zone here, the 500 billion to 600 billion range. That would be a great place potentially to start dollar cost averaging back into your favorite cryptos. Always invest responsibly, of course. And again, this is not financial advice. So with that in mind, I'm not seeing much really worth looking at. I mean, Luna is dead, but it's having some little spikes here. It's not something I want to talk about here today. I will pull up here another basket that I kind of follow with yeah, okay, Adam, Cosmos, I've been saying Cosmos beats to its own drum, and it did so. It has its own personality. It did so back here in November when the markets are selling off, and it pumped up to retest these highs. So I am watching Cosmos. It's in this nice upward channel. I would have notes to myself, base hits, and I would like to, I'm having an alert. I'm going to set an alert here because for me, I like to buy at the bottom of these channels, not at the top, and take base hits here. So let's see, crossing down at that level. So I want to know, I would be looking to buy potentially, if my other signals line up, below this 1287. Maybe I'll move that up to 1320 just to alert myself. Why there? There's some support right along this area. So this might be a good place to pick some up. And if I like my other indicators, currently in the bearish phase of my ERI signal there. Let me look at my average true range. Average true range has been in this is one I haven't really talked about much yet. It's another one of our custom indicators, but there is a free version you can find in TradingView. Let's see, drawing users aren't really drawing alert. Yeah, I can always put it back. So the entry here on the average true range was back here, which would have got us in a nice uptrend, and also out on these. Again, these have different personalities, so you might want to play around with that an average true range. That's sort of a slightly modified one that we use, but there are those that you can find. And what I want to do, that's what I want to do. All right, put that back on, turn this off. So what else here I'd like to see on a weekly basis? Still in an uptrend, and keep an eye on it, but getting a bit overextended. So on this weekly basis here, I would be looking to take some profits if I were in this, possibly a short here as it pushes higher into the upper range of this, probably closer to 17. And then, and then come back down. But it's in a decided uptrend. Cosmos is under accumulation. So it does tend to buck the trend and is worth watching as a kind of a contrarian indicator. I don't know why. I can't explain it, but I've been saying all along, show me the chart, I'll tell you the news. I bet you there's some big news coming out on Cosmos here in the next 3 months, if not sooner, and that will explain this accumulation. Somebody knows something. The news is a lagging indicator. So you know what? By the time people know things leak out. It happens. Crypto is still unregulated, so don't kid yourself. There is nobody watching out for that. U.S. stock market, if you start doing insider trading, you're going to have a problem with the SEC. And back in the day when I was working with John Najarian, and we also had an unusual option volume scanner, this phrase was follow the footsteps of elephants, because the insider traders, they know better than, at least back then, they knew better than to go in and trade the stocks on inside info, especially if they could jump in and load up on the options with higher leverage, right? So I would not be surprised if the leverage long, there's a lot of leverage long traders in Cosmos right here. Someone knows something. But anyway, guys, that's all I have time for this week. And again, if you like the content, please put a like down below and subscribe if you like this and would like to see more of this. And so have a great weekend, everybody. And again, if you'd like to see that that video on a little more in-depth, that 2-hour sort of ETH watch party here, if I can clear it with Max here, we can put it in the chat down below. But I do need to ask him about that. So anyway, thanks, everybody. Have a great week, and we will talk to you next week. Take care.